That's right. Through sickness and health, here I am. I feel like shit. And I want to delete the Instagram shit that I did last night because I probably look like I'm out of my mind. For people that don't know what the fuck it is that's going on, I'm sick as fuck right now. I don't know what is happening. I don't know if it's a sinus deal, bronchitis, whatever it is, but I need to hit the doctor, which I can't attempt to do until tomorrow. And then I gotta figure out how am I gonna get there. I mean, that is something that I want to bring up later, which is when you're sick, what is it that you do? For me, I don't know why. Maybe it's because it brings me back to, being sick as a kid, and maybe it's like a comfort thing. But for me, I like to I like to watch old cartoons. Like Pink Panther, the original one. I mean, the new one's not bad. I watch it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Why should I lie to you? I watch it. But putting some cartoons on, just laying on the couch, feeling like garbage, makes me just feel a little bit better. Maybe some Looney Tunes. I don't know. But that's not the original topic of what I came on here to talk about. Last night on Instagram, I was talking about how the Degenerates season 2 on Netflix, if you're unfamiliar, is a comedy special which I think is between 15 and 20-minute sets for each comedian. I watched almost all of them. So here we go. This is what it is. I'm just going to tell you right from the beginning, I didn't watch Bob Kelly's set. Once he started in with the gag and shit, I turned it off. Yeah, it's up to you, dude. Let me give you the fucking. Let me get the thing here. Once he started in with the gag and shit, I turned it off. And he did it so many times. It was to the point where I wasn't even, the jokes were not even in context anymore. So I had to fast forward through it. I only fast forwarded through it. Hopefully that still counts as a view. I'm not sure. Because I like Bob Kelly. I do. I think he's a funny guy. But he's too much with all that. I can't handle it. However, I've heard him on podcasts and shows and shit. He's crazy. Bob Kelly was on. Jim Norton was on. Miss Pat was on. Darnell Rawlings was on. Nikki Glazer and some other fucking lady that I cannot pronounce her goddamn name correctly. Andrea something. I'll put her name in the chat. I don't know how to say it, but for the most part, her set is the reason why I'm doing this right now. That's, if you can see the chat, that's who it is. I don't know how to say her name, but she is fucking funny, dude. she had me laughing pretty hard and also upset me. Now, what upset me was not her, it wasn't her material. What upset me was the fucking crowd, dude. We are now in 2020. If you can't handle a joke, don't go to a comedy club. Yo, what's up?
Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year's, everybody. What's going on? Strapping and deadly. Strapped and deadly. Strapping. What the fuck? I'm all over the place, dude. But I was talking about this Netflix thing. You probably haven't seen it, but it's a group of comedians. They did one last year where I think it was five comedians as well. It was Joey Diaz, Christina Pazinski, Brad Williams, fucking god damn it, couple other cats that I'm gonna kick myself in the ass for not remembering because I liked all of them except for Yamanika Sanders. But that's a whole different situation. It's like, dude, I know you mentioned like when I come in with negative energy, kind of fuck shit up a little bit. This lady takes that shit to a whole new level, man. Like, it doesn't matter what conversation she gets in, she can go into a guest spot for a podcast or a radio show and turn everything into a racial deal, which doesn't even make sense. And all these comics talk about how great she is, but I never have understood why they say that, because every time I try to figure out what she's about, it's always her arguing with somebody for some fucking reason. Like, there's no reason to be that angry, dude. What the fuck? And I know I'm a white devil. Call me whatever the fuck you want. It
But
doesn't
I
matter.
think a perfect example of people like soaking up the drama of stuff. If she's constantly got that energy, like it's going to create arguments or just get a lot of comments and people discussing shit. And I think that's why they probably allow it.
Probably. I mean, but it's to the point where it gets uncomfortable, dude.
Yeah.
Like, they'll try to pull out of it, and she just goes harder into it. And they're like, all right, I guess that's what this is now. We're not gonna do anything about it. But you know, watching these sets, they're about 20 minutes each. The crowd is rather upsetting because they groan at everything. Like,
I don't know
dude,
how you feel on it, but like I've noticed with all different types of content, whether it's sports or like comedy but if you look at a lot of the comments now for like stuff that's happening nowadays, a lot of people say that the crowds aren't like what they used to be, whether it's like being respectful towards the artist or just like partaking in like whatever's going on. They there's a lot of comments saying that it's not how it used to be, and I think a lot of it's to do with like everyone's they got their phones out and all that. But like just in terms of the respect factor as well, I think it's a lot different to how it used to be.
definitely. Well, that's because I think social media has given everybody a false sense that their opinion is
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, it could be important to the people that you know or to a subject matter that you care about, but if you don't know these people personally, why would they? And whether they here's what they don't understand. These people don't get that whether these guys or women comment or respond back to what you're saying, what you say to them does impact them, even if they don't react.
yeah.
Which I've learned is from watching a couple of podcasts lately. I haven't watched these since the King of Comedy days. Oh shit, you got a lot to catch up on, bro. If you are interested, I can recommend you a couple of comedy specials to watch. I'm just not sure. You'd have to tell me what what's your style of comedy, but it does have that negative effect. It goes to a Louis C.K. point that he made a while ago, which I'm sure we probably talked about already, which is that there's no there's no direct aftermath to it. Like I can say something shitty and I don't have to be there to watch you take it in. So I'm able to take that and oh that felt great to be able to tell this person they're a piece of shit and they should kill themselves. There you know,
This chick that you see though, is that the most uncomfortable that you've been watching a comedian?
the most it's a tough question. Honestly, shit. You know, I think
And also, but do you think that's why a lot of them get into comedy because they want to say shit around people that they know if they didn't have that as a platform to do it, that they'd get in trouble for it?
that's part of it, I think. But I mean, a lot of comics do get in trouble still. What bothers me the most, probably the most cringy thing I've ever seen, was oh my god, I can't. I think it was when the shit with Shane Gillis happened. I may be wrong, but there was a comedian, Shane Gillis, who wound up getting a spot on Saturday Night Live for all of 24 hours before somebody went and dug through his podcast and pulled up some quote unquote racist shit that he said. Now, here's where I'm going to defend the guy because he says outlandish shit on purpose. Like that's part of what his brand is. So if you don't know this guy and you watch something that he does, you're gonna be like, oh, what a fucking horrible person this guy is. But if you
Yeah,
do a little bit of research, you can, understand
part
where
formula.
yeah. But Christopher Titus, I'm not sure if you know who that is.
No, to be honest, when you was talking about it a minute ago, like I used to watch comedy a bit, but especially with like American comics and that nowadays, I'm like way out of the loop. So if you could, I might have to get some recommendations off you because yesterday at work as well, actually, we have a comedy club upstairs, and I had to go and like just do security for that. And one of the acts was really shit, I thought, but the other one, some Spanish guy, I thought he was really funny. So just doing that at work, like it's made me want to sort of just watch stuff when I get home and that a bit more. Because, like I said, when I was younger, I used to watch it a lot more, but I just kind of, I don't think I lost interest, but like I just got more into like music and stuff and drifted away from it. But since been speaking to you and that, it's made me want to like dive back into it a bit.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, dude, I would definitely recommend watching Dan Soder's special, Son of Gary. It's on HBO. I'm not sure if you have
I
HBO, but
don't
if
think I have, but I might be able to get like a download or something. One of my mates gets like illegally, by the way, but like it always gets
allegedly, we don't
yeah.
know it. Yeah, we don't.
But like, it's a lot of stuff. Like if I can't find it or like get it anywhere, and I don't want to pay for it, like it'll sort me out. But yeah, well, he's probably got like short clips and that about on YouTube and that anyway. Innit? I might just search them as well just to get an idea.
Yeah. So, Bernie Mac style, Chris Tucker ish. I know why you said that. It kind of hard to find that style. Seen a few Cat Williams sets in parts. Yeah, the last Cat Williams special was okay. And I love Cat Williams. I think he's the fucking man. I don't agree with everything that he says. I think he goes a little bit overboard with the religious shit, but I give him a pass for that because of how funny he is. Did you see the article about Eddie Murphy speaking on his old gay jokes? Oh fuck no, I gotta look into that. Bro, if you go back and you watch, was it Delirious or Raw, Demos? I don't remember. I think it might have been Raw. He did at least 20 minutes on gays and fags and homos and like hardcore shit that people would get canceled for today. And I don't want Eddie Murphy to get canceled, but it just shows you the power of nostalgia. Everybody knows that exists, and yet they let that dude on Saturday Night Live. But that's completely okay. And I'm not, look, Eddie Murphy fucked Bill Cosby up on stage. Talk about you're calling me, telling me what I should and shouldn't say, you know, and dude, I gotta look this up because if I can find the bit where he was talking about Bill Cosby,
Have you ever seen Lee Evans?
Lee Evans, it sounds familiar.
He was my favourite. He's an English comic. He's retired now, but by far he was my favourite. But I don't know if you'd like it because obviously it's different. Like that's the only trouble as well. I feel like possibly with some of the ones you might recommend, I might not relate to it as much because we've got like a kind of different sense of humor in a lot of ways, like from English to British, English to American, like comics and the styles. But I don't know if it's still that. It used to be very different compared to each other, but I don't know nowadays if they're more aware of like the humor and stuff on our side, and you might have more like that yourself now.
Well, I know Jimmy Carr is a
Yeah,
huge name is out here too. Where I love that he constantly shits on America. Oh,
I just like he just don't give a shit, and because he's like kind of like a nerd with it, it just makes it even funnier when he's like "fuck you."
yeah. Oh, dude, it's great. All right, hold on. Benny Hill. It's another name that sounds very
He was
familiar. Eddie Murphy's.
Benny
Go
Hill was
ahead.
before my time, but my dad always used to say he watched him. He was very controversial though, because he used to do a lot of like rude shit, like in terms of sexual stuff. And
That's great. I love rude people. Oh, dude, there was one comic I just seen. Fuck, I'm gonna have to dig through and try to find. He's a heavy set bald guy. Fucking riot, this dude. He's a English comedian, I think. Well, I mean, there's a bunch of them. That doesn't really narrow it down, probably. But he had a special on Netflix that I saw. I will look into it. But hold on. Eddie Murphy says his old stand-up jokes about gay people make him cringe. I can't believe I said that. Like, dude, first of all, part of that is a victim of the time. I feel like, that's just what I'm not saying it's right, but that was the opinion that a lot of people had then, where it was socially acceptable for you to come out and say some shit like that. And the dude was young.
well, it's like
It,
that with like sexuality and also like racism as well. Even back in the day, like it was more openly spoke about, wasn't it? Where you could say certain things, even whether it's right or wrong. But like nowadays, you can't even speak how you used to be able to speak.
oh, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. He's revealed some of his own jokes to make him cringe. In an interview, the comedian 58 reflected on his career over the years, admitting he understands that time has changed and what was funny a decade ago can be deemed offensive today. Well, no shit. Now, here's a cynical question. Are you saying this now because the rumors circulating that you're trying to put a new stand-up hour together? And you don't want to get canceled, so you're trying to jump in front of the bullet now before it comes out. I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't necessarily feel this way. And by the way, the Dave Chappelle, Charlie Murphy, Rick James, and Prince bits are two of the best things I've ever fucking seen in my life of living, dude. It's amazing. Some of it I cringe when I watch it. That's the third time you're saying it. Like, we get it. A clip from see, look at a clip from Murphy's 1983 comedy special Delirious was played in an interview footage showing the comedian having a bit about nightmares about gay people. The actor, who made a triumphant return to Saturday Night Live last week, admitted that he has no regrets whatsoever in his life, and he is aware that his former jokes wouldn't translate with audiences well today. I get a joke every now and again that's cringy. Murphy said it was forming comedic routines, but that's not to say that I don't appreciate it. I still appreciate it. I'm looking at it within the context of the times and I'm going, okay, I'm a kid saying that. You see, now I respect that he had the balls to say that because what was acceptable in 1984 is definitely not. I mean, there were fucking people did shit in procedures in hospitals that are frowned upon now. Like it was a completely different fucking world
I hope we don't
compared to it.
point in the future where they ban like old footage of stuff like this. Like, hopefully they won't because they have like copyright and like probably contracts signed that they own the rights to it and shit. But I hope that it doesn't all get banned in the future of past shit just because they look back at old stuff and be like, oh, if people see this nowadays, is it like it's going to cause a load of shit? Because that's just bullshit. Because you're taking away from what was authentic and what was actually the art form. Like, but if they're going to like censor all that in the future, that's just going to ruin it all.
I think they need to make a museum
Mm.
of all the old shit right up until cancel culture. So they could be like, you can see the progression because before people were kind of not censoring themselves, but they would, if they would say some crazy shit, they would be like, you know, I understand that, you know, not everybody's going to agree with this. Male genital mutilation is still a premium downgrade at American maternity wards, though. Oh, you're talking about circumcisions? I mean, I get it. Dude, I've heard stories of people that didn't get it done when they were children, and then when they were adults, they went and got it snipped because it gets infected or, you know, some shit happens with something like that. So, I know that's a controversial thing for some people. But yeah, they definitely need to keep that shit around because look, if there are still videos of rocks and being thrown at black people and dogs being sicked on them, fire hoses and segregated schools and all that shit. We need, as ugly as that part of history is, it is extremely important that we keep it as a reminder of where we've come from so that we make sure that we don't wind up back in that place, although arguably I think we're kind of on our way there again, just in a bit of a different way. Now,
Especially
instead of what your skin
so many
color is,
stupid people about in the world.
yeah, because now it's not about what your skin color is, it's about what you say. And if you say the wrong thing that I don't like, I want your whole life.
Genocide.
Yeah. You might
I
be
think, like you're
thinking,
right though, they need to have that stuff kept of like what used to happen to people and what still happens in like poorer countries to people, like in the streets and shit. Because I mean, I don't think a lot of people. I think people are so like desensitized to a lot of shit now that they'd probably see it and it wouldn't affect them. But hopefully, you'd still get a large number of people that see it and it just makes them realize, even if they're not doing like illegal shit, but just being like not satisfied with their own life and not happy enough when they should be happy enough with the small things. And if they see something like that, they hopefully feel like, right, I feel like I've got it bad, but compared to these people getting stoned in the street and that, I'm actually lucky.
yeah, I mean that is true. But then again, I think we can only really it's got to be difficult to understand that shit like that still happens in other parts of the fucking world. Like it's hard to believe that on one side of the planet we can have cell phones and mostly equal rights for everybody unless you want a cake in certain places and in other parts of the world you get stoned to death or your clit cut off because that's what they believe in, which is fucking barbaric. But you can't say anything about that either, otherwise you're a racist. And how dare you question other people's way of life? But I mean, come on, dude. Get with the fucking program. It's 2020 now. There's no reason why shit like that should still be happening. You don't have to like what somebody else does. Just don't be a part of it then. It's rather simple. But
I
then
think it's
again,
impossible now, though, for people to understand that because of the social media. Like you said earlier, everyone feels that they can just comment on anything. Even like a lot of people comment on shit that they're not even passionate about just to fucking be a dick for no reason.
just to be able to comment because I know I want my voice to be heard. It's fucking ridiculous. Although, I gotta give credit to, radio host Sam Roberts because when that motherfucker does live streams, he goes, "Oh, you want your comment read? Okay, cool. You'll have to super chat me to guarantee that your comment's gonna get read. Then I don't care what you write. Like, you can literally write anything, like, you're a piece of shit and I hope you die, but you paid me, so fuck you."
So what did you have to what happened for New Year's Eve? Did you have to do anything? Do you usually celebrate it? Because personally, I've never been a fan of it, and I was working anyway, so I couldn't really take it in properly because I was preoccupied. But did you do anything?
Hold on. Words lose their meaning in our post-truth society. Progressivism is recidivism. Antifa or fascist feminists promote is all right, dude. Well, look, some of those people are out of their fucking minds. You like is a cultural identity equivalent of DMZ in North Korea. The so-called demilitarized zone has more patrolling enforcements than anywhere else in the world. That's pretty fucked up. I didn't know that. I don't like anything with groups like that where people come together and it's all group think and we all think the same exact thing. That kind of shit bothers me because then I start to wonder about Kool-Aid, you know? Like, what are we doing here really? So I
Yeah.
mean, those people fuck me up. But as far as New Year's, I didn't do shit. One, because I'm sick, and two, because I can't. But I used to have a few drinks, smoke a little bit of weed, maybe, but now I can't do either of those things. But other than that, I mean, I only really did that shit because that everybody is like, "Oh, you gotta fucking, drink with us," and whatever. Like,
Mm.
we don't. The
You know what I was
rookie,
thinking as well, like especially in this country, I'd say 90% or probably more treat it as just another excuse to drink. And I think you're celebrating going into a new year and doing all this new year, new me. But the amount of people that can't do it without alcohol, what we doing here? Like,
yeah,
it's
it's
scary.
fucked up. But the reason why I can't smoke is because I get piss tested by my pain management doctor, and I can't drink because I take thyroid medication, and alcohol will cancel out the thyroid pill. So,
Mm.
out of my own safety, I would rather not. I mean, I probably could, but honestly, I don't really like drinking that much. I drank enough from 14 to 23 to last my entire life. Way, 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 way too much. Way
See, I'm
too
lucky
much.
and I've never really smoked or drink. Like, I don't get any enjoyment out of it. Like, so I'm lucky because I haven't had that taste for it where some people try it and then they're hooked on it from the very first time. So.
I mean, it was something to do, and you felt like you were, like, oh, this we're doing some shit we're not supposed to do because we're underage. So in our dumb brains, we think we're cool because we're sneaking alcohol. But then again, every house had a fucking liquor cabinet.
Mm.
Every one of them. There was not one of my friends that go to their fucking house and they don't have liquor cabinet. I feel you, man. I'm hailing from Wales, but I take. Okay, I know Prozac, Trazodone. Whoa, you're on some heavy shit, dude. I don't know what the first two are, but I recognize Prozac, Tramadol, and Zopiclone, which I think is.
They give them all these names like they're fucking Greek gods. What's going on?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Do you think you need your pain meds over the weed, though? I mean, if you want to smoke, you can go and fuck the pills. Opiate withdrawals are not worth the weed. Well, see, that's exactly the reason why the pills are no good. Just because of the withdrawals in and of themselves. The problem has always been and will continue to be the price of the weed. I literally it makes no sense. It makes perfect sense from a business perspective that I get pills penny on a dollar, but I would have to pay out of pocket to get weed. That's not a coincidence. It's definitely not a coincidence. But come in November, there's supposed to be a vote to legalize it. So I keep my fucking fingers crossed and hope that it's going to work out, because I don't, just because we vote on it doesn't necessarily mean shit. It could take another 2 years before they decide to sell it in the stores. They have no system in place at all whatsoever. And I can look into doctors to get the pills prescribed and the weed, but that's a whole different. Yeah, 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 yeah. They do that here. That's a big deal here. Using weed to help addicts get off of opiates and shit. That's a big fucking deal here, dude. Actually, one of the one of the newer one of the newer qualifications for a medical weed card is if you have an addiction to heroin or pills or anything like that, you automatically will qualify for a weed card. Whereas before, you had to have cancer, AIDS, multiple sclerosis, or a few other really heavy diseases. But since they rewrote the law, they're trying to make it so that less people will be put on painkillers and more people can use the weed. They just haven't gotten to the second part of that, which is you need to make it affordable, because you're not going to people are not going to pay $150 to $200 every 3 months for a license and then go pay for weed too. Except now the weed dealers are fucking up because they're charging dispensary prices, because now all of a sudden everybody gets high grade medical fucking weed, which is not true. They all have the same dog shit strains, probably from New York or wherever the fuck they're getting it from, and they're all saying that it's getting imported from fucking Cali. Is dude, I can't wait for this shit to be legalized, because the amount of shit that I could break down that has gone on that I've seen is ridiculous. But I can't talk about any of it now for obvious reasons, because if you know about it, then that means you're involved in it. It's a whole thing. Uh, Kratom are surefire ways to kick opiates. I know because I use them on MSTs all the time. I've I know what kratom is. I just honestly I don't know how comfortable I am with using that. Not even saying, like, at least I know with my pills, I know that they're extremely dangerous, but I have the illusion of going to a doctor and being prescribed shit. They're This is where I think America is much more liberal than the UK because cannabis is still the only drug over here that doesn't have a defense of necessity. So what does that mean? Like you if you get caught with it, that means that you're not they don't say that it's necessary for you to have a lawyer, that they just lock you up, because that's fucked up. Court can take into account whether crack cocaine can get rid of your cluster headaches, but if you smoke weed for MS and you still get fucked over, what the fuck is going on where you live, dude? That's insane. I never met one crackhead that was like, I know it's terrible, but it works wonders for my migraines. Crack sucks, dude. You ever smell that shit? Light a plastic bag on fire. That's what it smells like. Dead ass. No joke. I used to live in a fucking crack house, dude. I'm not bullshitting you. Well, I shouldn't say a crack house. It was like a fucking drug den. The guy that lived upstairs was the landlord, and that motherfucker was selling ecstasy, mushrooms, weed, heroin, cocaine, crack, the whole situation. There's one dude thought he was Scarface, you know, snorting lines and listening to 50 Cent's Power of the Dollar, getting drunk all the time. And when he would get coked up, he would get paranoid and be like, oh, so like you could just be sitting there not doing anything, minding your own business, and he'll look at you like, what the fuck did you just say? You got a fucking problem? And then pull a fucking blade out like, dude, I'll fucking kill you right now. I will fucking kill you right now. Are you want to fucking go? Like, dude, what are you talking about? Don't fucking it in I don't know how I'm alive. I don't know how I'm alive. But I watched a bunch of these people do crack, and it blew my mind how, like, okay, when you smell weed, to me, I like that smell. I know some people hate the way that it smells, but at least it's something that's kind of like natural a little bit. Where you smell crack, nothing about that smells like, oh, this seems like it'll be a good idea. Not a goddamn thing. But they're
It's
passing
like
this.
walking into a science lab, but where it's gone wrong.
Yeah, dude, like that shit was rough. Watch these people smoke crack, and I mean, dude, I've seen shit that nobody should ever see. Never smoked it, been around crackheads, used to be a big drone head.
What the fuck's a drone head?
Methadone. Oh, methadone, you mean? Or are you talking about Dilaudid? I can imagine why they call it a drone head. Jesus, probably gets you high as fuck, thinking that you're, above everybody. Love this smell. Love it. Are you saying like spit, or you mean? Oh no, salvia. Does that make me twisted?
I love the smell of saliva. Imagine if it was that.
Wait, you smell the weed that smells like spray paint? What? No, and I definitely wouldn't smoke that shit. If it did, no fucking way.
What sort of weed smells like spray paint? What the fuck are you smoking?
For real. What are they growing it in? A fucking Bob Ross warehouse? For MCC UK boys will know it as MCAT. I've never heard of that before. I have to look it up. I know salvia is the other thing that I wouldn't touch. I don't remember what it smells like. I know it looked a lot like weed. Like if you didn't know what you were doing, somebody could trick you into smoking it. And apparently what you do is you smoke it and then you fucking hallucinate, which I heard a great story from, I think his name is Louis Katz. who is on a. If you go and look for this, it's Chem Dog is the strain. Keep it on your weed list. I will definitely do that. Just because out of curiosity, I would just want to smell it to see. Because if it smells like that, I'm sure it tastes like that too. Like that doesn't seem like a good idea at all. It sounds terrible. But dude, this guy tripped for 5 minutes and thought that he lived an entire another life for 5 years. Is the craziest story I ever heard of my life, but I won't fuck with that shit. Watching these motherfuckers smoke crack though, I was like, okay, that's going on a list of things I definitely will never do. And it sucks when you watch somebody do something like that because you're like, damn, I didn't think that I would be seeing this shit in my life.
But
And I've done.
no, like I wouldn't have wanted to trade places to even be in your shoes to see that. It was a blessing, really, because that stopped you from potentially doing it yourself, and you might have been dead by now if you'd have done it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, dude, I'm heartbreaking shit, dude. You ever smoke DMT? No, not a trip guy. Not a trip guy. I had my weed laced wet one time, not with my permission, I should add, and that is the end of that for me. And also, I think I've been dusted twice, but not both of those were not my choice. Definitely not a trip guy. Too much negative shit going on in my brain for me to explore that world. I know plenty of people who, use hallucinogens of a bunch of varieties and they have a great time with it. They feel like it expands their life. I mean, maybe in the future microdosing psilocybin might be a good idea. I've heard that that helps with depression and PTSD and stuff like that. But outside of that, though, definitely not a good fit for me. I got way too much going on in my fucking head.
So without going into being like everyone else and being like, so my New Year's resolutions and all this shit,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I just wanted
Sorry.
to ask you like if you've if you've got a blueprint of what you want to do this year, from different from last year, or whether you're just gonna just roll with it and see what happens. Like, have you got
Yeah.
like set out like structured plan of what you want to do, or
Not really. And I'll read this comment and then I'll get back to your question. Not calling you a liar, but I always found the dusted stories a bit out of whack because it costs more to lace the bud. Yeah, but when you're friends with a bunch of people who would find it hilarious to fuck you up, they would go to any length necessary, I feel like. But I mean, granted, that's not everybody. There's some guys that just do that shit and they think everybody is into it. But I don't have anything set out in concrete other than like I need to there's things that I need to change in my life. I definitely want to fucking quit smoking cigarettes. I want to work out more just to try to be a little bit more healthy. I know that my diet is horrendous, but I'm not going to lie and say that I'm going to change and try to eat better shit. I know what I like and I'm going to eat what I like and that's it. But I mean, outside of that, and I know it's a waste of time for me to go, I'm going to write down a bunch of things that I'm going to do because I'm not going to do them. I
I was
have to
very
just,
tempted to do a video just before New Year's Eve, like before midnight, to say like basically a little bit of a rant at people, just to be like, I don't want to hear your shit about I'm gonna do this a new year, new me, because too many people talk, and I've done it myself. And you say you're gonna do all these things, and then you end up doing maybe one or two if you're lucky, and then you look like a twat because you've done all these lists of things you're gonna do, and you've put it out to the world, and then there's no evidence of you even sometimes even starting what you said you was gonna do. So I was very
especially if you tell other people.
yeah, I was very close to doing a video, just like saying to people, I don't want to fucking hear it. I didn't do it in the end, but like I was thinking about doing one, but just because like more and more people are doing it now, and more people are failing because they're trapping themselves and setting themselves up when they could
But
just keep themselves. And then if they achieve something, then fair enough, you can celebrate it and show people if you want. But by doing that and putting it out public, you put pressure on yourself that you didn't need to put on yourself.
right, like I understand saying it out loud because in a way it almost forces you to commit to it. But that's if you know that you're gonna be serious about doing it.
But you could say it to yourself out loud without putting it in video and putting it online.
That's true. That is very true. You could do that. The leaf of God is a nice starter for hallucinogens. Mexican Indians use it to talk to God or their dead loved ones. Um, that's heavy. Holy shit. We there smoke 100 grams a week of tobacco. Not sure how much that is, but
You guys in the comments, just to get your take on it, did you have um, New Year's resolutions for yourselves, or are you similar to you've probably got things in your head, but you don't want to like let people know just because you want to work at it yourself and then celebrate it if you achieve it?
and then Spacco said, "How did we meet?" When actually BC was recommended to me from Demos, saying he's a YouTube guy who does reactions and shit like you used to do, and you guys seem to have similar things about the way that you do shit is kind of similar to thought process and all that. So I think that you guys he would be a cool person to try to get on the podcast if you can get him. I think it would be an interesting conversation. So I reached out to him through via YouTube, and
And I
then
saw it about nearly a year later.
that's where he's been basically a regular on the channel since then. I don't need uh I don't need a new year to start a resolution. But that's an
See, that's
interesting
the
take.
attitude to have. Demos, you're the fucking man. Like that's true though. I heard something similar to that the other day. Someone was like, "Why do we have to wait for this date for people to say, oh, I'm going to change this about myself, and now I'm going to do this to better myself"? Why do you have to wait for a date to do that?
Last night took a handful of sleeping meds and blazed a half a joint, so I missed the countdown. I just want to join in the resolution. Shit, man. That should be one of my resolutions is to fucking go back to. Dude, I was so much. I know drugs are not great, but I was so much happier when I was smoking weed because the medicine makes me feel bad. The
Yeah.
weed, it doesn't make me feel so guilty because I know I could put it down whenever I want, and there's no. Like, sure, I might be a little bit cranky, but I'm not gonna be deathly ill where a doctor has to monitor me to make sure I don't die from withdrawals. God damn it. But, New Year's resolutions, I don't know who started that. I don't know who the first person was that did it, but the fact that every year people still talk about this shit like they're actually going to do it is hilarious to me because bitch, no, you're not. You're not doing none of that. And you know what? I hope that you do. I hope you really do it. Then Joey Diaz talks a lot about goals all year long, where he's like, dude, if you're really serious about doing some shit, you don't gotta tell it. He's similar to what you were saying. Like you don't have to tell everybody. You write it down in a notebook every day, the goals that you want to accomplish when you wake up, and you work on one thing at a fucking time. Don't try to do everything all at once because then you're not gonna if you try to do everything, you're going to accomplish nothing. So try to
I need to
work
start
on
watching
one thing
more
at a
of
time.
Joey's podcast. I've only watched a couple. I think the only ones I've watched are like the clips you've sent me of his. Um, but I've always enjoyed his episodes when Joe has him on his. So I just can't
Yeah.
believe how many stories he's got. It's like
Oh,
every
it's crazy.
like he'll be on the show and the whole show is just story after story. I'm like, how many? Like it's like he's been alive like for hundreds of years. The amount of stories he's got.
It's crazy. Dude, I gotta send you the one he did. He did one on Christmas Eve, which that one I needed to hear that one because he was talking about, basically be grateful for what you fucking have. There's somebody out there who's always worse off than whatever position you're in. Don't concern yourself with other shit. Focus on what you're trying to do in the new year. It's it's really the fact that he went from a career fucking criminal to
Yeah.
being able to sit in a fucking chair and take all of this knowledge that he's had from these experiences and put it into something that's positive is a
Not
great
only
thing.
that and the stand up as well. Like
Oh, stand up is fucking killer, dude. He's a
that's another
monster.
dive into. I think I've watched one clip of him doing stand up and it weren't very long. So I've watched a bit more of the podcast stuff. But like when you sent me one the other week, I said to you like I appreciated you sending me that because I think it was the one where he's on about where like people struggling and stuff. Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
especially because I didn't ask you for it, you just like give it to me, and I think at the time I was just probably a bit down as well. Like, but I listened to it like I think the day you sent it, and it was just like it definitely helps when you especially because I'd seen him on Joe's podcast a few times now. Like I already knew I liked him a bit, but because he's just how he is as well. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just love
he's
how he's like, and I told this cocksucker.
he's authentic, dude. You can't fake that. But
Yeah,
I do that shit sometimes. Like I'll hit up. I have a close circle of people that not all the time, very randomly. Like there's one chick that I know I've been friends with for years. Every once in a while, if she crosses my mind, I'll just hit her up and be like, "Hey, love you. Hope you're okay." And the amount of times that she's written back, like, "Dude, I don't know. Like, you have no idea how badly I needed to hear that from somebody today." Just, so I try to do shit like that just because I know I have my own personal bouts with all of this negative shit, and it's difficult, especially when you feel like you can't tell anybody about it because then it makes you feel worse, like you're dumping your negative shit onto them. Hold on, did you know McDonald's only sells fish fillet sandwiches because of Christians practicing Lent? So Lent is where you have to give up something, right?
so apparently McDonald's milkshakes have chicken fat in them.
What?
I've heard that for years. I don't know if it's true. Um, yeah, I've heard lots of different shit about the ingredients and that they put in like the chips and all that shit as well. But I've heard for years that they have chicken fat in the milkshake.
Oh, dude, when I was growing up, they used to say the chicken nuggets were made out of kangaroo meat.
Um, just to point out what you were saying about that messaging that person as well. Like, I don't really say Happy New Year's and shit like that to people a lot because I just not like that, and not because I want to be rude in that, but because I don't make a big deal of it. But that's why I sent you the email the other day. I knew that you weren't a fan of it either, but that's why I was like, I know you probably don't like celebrate or nothing, but I just want to say Happy New Year and that because like I appreciate what you did this year and just reaching out to me and stuff. So even though I knew you weren't a big fan of it, I just wanted to come and like you did with that person, just because sometimes it's just nice to hear as well. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, dude, I think part of the reason why I'm not big on, and I feel bad because I think Jen is big on like the Christmas and the New Year's shit. She loves Halloween. Like, I know she probably doesn't want to admit it, but I think she's like super into the holidays. But because I'm kind of a cunt about it, she doesn't really press
yeah,
the issue. But, you know, I'm not big on it, dude, because of the like growing up, my grandmother made it her business to decorate the house, the Christmas music blaring and all that shit. And she was like, I don't give a fuck if nobody else in this house likes it. I am celebrating this goddamn holiday, and every one of you can go fuck yourselves. I don't care. But outside of her, is it was all dysfunction. Whereas even now, I kind of feel like it's not holidays kind of feel like they're reserved for people who are normal that have families and do normal shit.
And I could be wrong, but like where they say where people hear songs and that it takes them back to a specific time and that, I bet you get out of like a lot of Christmas songs that of bad, like painful shit that you remember.
Yeah. And then not to mention that her birthday is at my grandmother who passed when I was 16, 15, 16. Her birthday is fucking new today, actually. So I get that kick in the nuts every time, which is part of the, not to bring it all the way back, but that is part of the reason why the alcohol came into play, because when you're fucked up out of your mind, shit that you don't think about. You
Mm.
know, quote Joey Diaz, man, it's when you go home at nighttime when you're trying to go to sleep is when those walls start to close in. So, the same way that he would be doing acid or whatever it was, same shit. Len is the Catholic thing, though. Since I studied theology, it irritates me that people lump Catholic ideology in with Christian ideology. I don't know exactly what the difference is, but I know that if you call somebody that's a Catholic a Christian, they get very upset with you.
Do you know I'm
And
so happy I'm not religious? The amount of shit it causes.
oh my god. Would you rather have feet for hands or hands for feet?
Hands for feet.
Yeah, you know what? Well,
Fuck
wait.
like chips and shit with your hands, but their feet. Fuck off.
Do I still have my hands for hands if I have hands for feet, though? Right? And do my feet hands work the same way as like regular hands would, so I can grab things? Dude, it would make having a threesome so much fucking easier, right? You fingering fucking, I can flick the clit with one foot and then have the other finger in on that one and be, do it. All right, that's a little bit too far, but I mean, dude, just saying, you could definitely have some good uses for it. I mean, it would make showering a whole lot easier, where you can literally wash the bottom half of your body while you're washing the top half of your body at the same time. Cut it in half. Brilliant. If you have hands for feet, then you still have hands for hands and etc. Okay, yeah, definitely hands for feet also. Although, can you imagine if it feels the same way? Can you
That would
imagine
be like you was doing a handstand, wouldn't it?
all day? And then you gotta find. Can you imagine trying to find shoes that fit in fucking hands and to put starfish on your fucking
That
feet?
would be weird.
You need some dexterity, though. Yeah, no shit. Well, I would just be like, "Hey, you want to see something cool?" And I'd figure out something. It'd be a cool bar trick to have. Sure, you could pull some women in and be like, "Not only do I have these, but I also got these down here. Like, call me a freak right now, but don't judge, don't knock it till you tried it." It's fucked up. I mean, because monkeys pretty much have that, I think. Their feet are almost kind of like their hands, some of them.
Yeah.
Raccoons definitely have that. I'd wanted to be born with two dicks. Why?
What the fuck?
Wouldn't they be next to each other? What fucking good is that? You can't have sex with two women at the same time. And if you could stick both your dicks into one woman, there's some questions there.
Spacco. I went to Wales when I was pretty much a toddler, maybe a baby. So I haven't. All I can remember is like staying in like a mobile home on like some cliff or something, and it being really windy and cold all the time. That's literally the only memory I have of Wales, to be honest. But I have been thinking about going there, just like on a holiday or whatever. So maybe in the future. Whereabouts in Wales are you from? I don't really know anything about Wales, to be honest. So I'm a quarter Irish though, so I lived in Ireland for a while as well.
Yeah, ooh, practice. I mean, they asked me, nigga, how you do this shit? I replied, dog, I'm just practicing. They like, you gonna take this shit serious? Nah, and I'm a warm up for it. I like practice, man. Cause when you practice, ain't nobody trying to bust your shot.
Wenglish.
No, I knew they would come for me. Come for me. They wanted company, I bought a company. Boss status, in a lazy boy. I kick them comfy. See, I told you. You niggas crazy, boy. Your body don't work. You probably got lazy bones. Thugs in harmony with crazy songs. If we cross roll, leave you crazy bones. Fossil fuel, let the Nina talk. She ain't gossip.
See, my show's some crazy shit
When the
today.
mug ain't disguised a fool. Can't disguise the fool. Just apply a fool and you can't fall. Never stick around to the 8 ball. Think of Ray Charles. It's an ugly risk. Keep my eyes closed on an ugly bitch. When my eye open, it get ugly quick. Gotta tackle goals on some rugby shit. Oh, the rugby slick. Got a smooth flow. Tell them hug me quick. You can feel God. This a field goal. Man, I feel golden. Man, I'm still going so and hold up. Nigga, hold up. Tell them so what. Niggas seem nice like they so tough. Y'all just talking the threads. When I get to talking, it's lit.
Demos is on some crazy stuff today.
Oh shit. Get rid of three questions. You had the one at the top, one at the bottom. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay. Get rid of the threesome question you had. One on top, one at the bottom. But at the bottom of what though? Like one dick where your balls would be, and the other dick where your dick is supposed to be. That's because look, dude, we have hygiene problems here. We cannot have their giners can't touch each other. That's no good. We can't have cross contamination. We have to execute this the right way. I've put extensive thought into this because I'm sure sooner or later it's gonna come up. I mean, I've had, dude. Have you ever had a fucking? Well, you're probably not into that kind of crazy shit, so I shouldn't even bother to ask. Uh, two rubbers, clean, smart, very smart. I mean, dude, of course you have to use rub chat more shit about drugs. Well, I could talk about the time that I got wasted and got a double headed blowjob. I could talk about that. What about scissors with your dick in the middle of them the Japanese way? Oh man, I don't know, dude. Because this is how mentally fucked up I am. The whole time I would be thinking they only have me in the middle, so I feel like I'm participating. That's the only reason why. I'm just a means to an end. I swear, I'm the only man on the face of the planet that could be getting my dick passed around and be like, they're only just trying to fuck each other. That's all that's happening right now. That's the way that my brain works, but I'm sick. Not everybody is like me. I don't know why I think that way. Scissors weird though, dude. Why? For what? I mean, I don't know. I'm this sensation would probably feel definitely odd. But then, I mean, I don't know, dude. I think they would definitely have to know each other. Couldn't be fucking strangers, but I can't fuck a stranger. I have to know you a little bit. People are too shady, especially STDs and everything else. You gotta be careful. Feel like BC needs a tutorial. And with what? Well, dude, we're a few sick units over here. You know, I think BC's like a normal guy. I don't think he operates on the level of nasty that we all operate on.
I'm definitely not on the wacky side of it. No.
I don't think threesomes are for everyone. Make a stand. See, I want to do it just to be like, I did it. Just to be like, I did it.
Bucket.
Yeah, bucket list. Be like, oh, all you fucking dirtbags that were making fun of me in school. Yeah, well, fuck you. How about that? Look what I can do now. You couldn't fuck either of these women by themselves. How about that? Too normal for my blood. I think I could do it. Although I don't know how it would be about them going down on each other though. That's an issue of mine. Call me a racist if you want to. I don't know if I'd be. I mean, dude, it had if I didn't care. All right, let's take Jen out of the equation, and let's say that it's two bras that I don't have an emotional attachment to. Then I probably don't give a shit. It's when you care it makes things complicated. But at the same time, I mean, dude, you only live once. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe you live more than once, and then you make all these fucking bad decisions, and then you realize,
Are you? I think I know the answer, and don't take offense to this, you guys in the comments. But are you two in relationships?
oh, I see where you're going. Because they're single, if they're in theory, if they're single, it makes the idea a lot more. I've actually had this happen in real time. One of my good friends was like, "Oh, dude, you should just go into a fucking polyamorous relationship. Like, sex is not a big deal." And blah 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 blah. The second he gets a girlfriend, like 2 weeks later, he's like, "Dude, I understand where you're coming from. I can't believe that I would think like that. Get away from the English tops and take the taffy boys with you." What the fuck? That sounded all kinds of insulting.
Jack, knowing what you know, because you're in a different relationship, obviously, than I have been with my partner and stuff. If you had
Yeah.
to give advice to the guys in the comments, what would you like in terms of if they was thinking about getting in a relationship and that? Would you advise it? Would you not advise it? Because I know what I'd tell them.
Whether or not to get into a relationship?
Yeah, or whether just because a lot of people think if they're single, like if their friends or whatever, or their mates and that are all in relationships, they feel like they need to go and do that. But like, what's your take on it, basically? Because I feel like people rush into it to try and do it, so they're not like feeling the odd one out and that. But then they like you said a minute ago, they get into a relationship and then they're like, whoa, I wasn't like really. It's not what I thought it was, or I'm not like ready for it, or
Well, it depends on first thing you have to ask yourself is how much you're willing to sacrifice because your immediate everything, the way that you live your life, everything about it is going to change. That's for one. And that don't even marriage is another thing that I think people rush into. Well, they'll date for a year and then they think they're compatible, and then 2 years down the line they're filing divorce papers because they just figured out they don't like the way the other person brushes their teeth, or whatever it might be.
also what we were saying the other week as well. To add on to the marriage side of it is all the contract shit and the paperwork and all that comes with a marriage. That's
Ugh,
like that's like icing on top of the cake of bullshit. Do you know what I mean?
definitely. I mean, I can be, but macho man poses, if you know what I mean. Not every woman wants that. These women are free women. I do what I want. Oh, I see what you're saying. They're like, okay, you're not gonna hold me I could be possessive, macho man, dude. Same way, same way. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the jealous dude. But if you think I'm gonna handle well somebody fucking hitting on my fucking lady, you got another fucking thing coming, dude. I don't want to hear that. Oh, it's a compliment bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. You're doing that because you're hitting on her because you think I'm weak and that you can just try to fuck her while I'm standing right there. You're trying to pull a power move right now. That's all it is. So you can save me with the bullshit, which that's the other thing too. Are you willing to deal with all that? Because that's pretty much what happens. I think relationships are a lot like keys to a candy store. Before you get them, all you can think about is running in there and eating as much candy as you want. Then the second you get the keys and you race in there, you find yourself a half hour later with a stomach ache, wondering why the fuck did you do this to yourself?
And you
It's
lost
pretty,
your.
yeah. Having said all of that, don't get me wrong, it is an experience. I think if you're lucky enough to try, you should definitely experience one at least once. I don't think you can really truly say you've lived life unless you've had your heart broken, or at least fallen in love or tried to at least one time. It's not good to be a fucking sissy like me where, I love hard, dude. Like it's not good. I wish so bad I was one of these dudes that has the ability to just hit the switch and not give a fuck.
I think you
But
need to be not in your case, but like people that looking into relationships and that. You have to be careful that you don't like basically pick the wrong person to start with, because if that relationship ends or you want to get out, it's very easy to get in a relationship and one of you is a psycho.
well, I was just gonna say, dude, the problem with psycho women is that the fucking sex is amazing. Of
Yeah, but
course
what
it
I'm
is,
saying,
because they're
like, it probably
crazy.
gets to the point where it gets to the point where you just want to leave them, even though that side of it's good, because like
No, but that's what pulls you into it, though. It blinds your
I get that,
judgment.
but I think I still think you get to a point where
Oh no, for
you,
sure.
you have
And
enough. Like, you have to be careful, because when you try and get out, that person's willing to do whatever to make sure you can't get away from them.
probably immediately after you orgasm, you're like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. What was I thinking? Jen dated a dude that tried to blow himself up with a blockbuster because she didn't want to date him anymore. It was like, oh, if you break up with me, I'm gonna kill myself, kind of shit. Like that's wild. That's wild. I'm
And
not. You gotta be kid, but this is exactly why you need to feel out the person before. For God's sake, if there's anything I can, if there's any advice in the world I could give you, is do not rush to move in with that person.
fucking hell, that's a question and a half. Well, I don't know. I spoke to Jack about it a lot of times. Like, I've got an illness that I've had since I was really little, so I've always been a bit different.
Christmas Day episode.
So I can't give you a specific date, but from very early on in my life, like, obviously I have to go and roll with the times and that, and I have to, like, I've got a job and shit, and I have to do stuff I don't like, but I look at things differently from a lot of people. I just have to, like, bite my lip with a lot of stuff because I'm not comfortable with it. But I definitely feel like I don't think like the majority of people think. But I have to put on the act that I'm like everyone else just to fit in and shit. To in terms of like keeping a job and shit like that.
Where do you guys draw the line on this relationship is no longer worth it? Well, I can start off by saying smoking crack is definitely a deal breaker. For
I don't
sure.
know where the line is. Like, especially when there's kids involved as well. That's a whole different ball game.
I think if I think a good place to start is if the relationship is so toxic to where it's gonna wind up landing you in jail, you
Or
have
death.
to, yeah, you have to end it. Now, having said that, there was plenty of this relationship should have ended years ago. Years ago, there was a point in time where it was extremely toxic. But where do you draw the line? I mean, cheating is definitely on there. Like, okay, you get a if you fuck up once, all right, everybody fucks up. Maybe you have your reasons. I think emotional cheating is almost worse than physical, though.
How much do you think though that people cheat and the other partner doesn't ever find out about it? That must happen a lot.
Oh yeah, but I mean that also tells a lot about, I think, how crazy that person is. Because like
Yeah.
you have to be.
Because if it was me or you, I feel like we'd have the guilt trip and have to tell the other person.
Or even worse, you try to hold it from them, but it's so
But then
goddamn
they know
obvious.
how you're acting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
I'm,
it's like I wouldn't be able to do it because I'd have that. I'll either try and keep it to myself and they know something's wrong, or I've got
yep.
the like it's a no for me. Like can't do it.
So that's definitely in there. What else is there?
I think the kids thing's an important thing though. If the kids are seeing shit, you two arguing a lot or around stuff where they're seeing you at each other's throats and that.
That's
That's another.
definitely, yeah. That's and also using attempting to use the child as
Yeah,
leverage.
yeah.
Before that's definitely that's got to be up there. Man, there's a decent amount of shit. I mean, does it matter? Okay, here's a question for you. Do you care if your girlfriend has guy friends? Does it bother you if she talks to dudes?
Gonna be completely honest, I don't want to think like that, but it does.
It kills
Even
me.
even if we're say we're not together, but like we know that we're not seeing anyone else anyway. Like if I find out she's gone out with someone for a drink or just a party or something, like I'm like, yeah, it drives me insane.
Oh, yeah, I can't do it either, dude. Especially because you know it always ends up on he's just friends.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, he's not. That's what
and
he
I hate
made.
that, but I always want to be like, well, if we're not together, I can't really say do this or do that, but it's complicated, like because I
Yeah, because if I'm sticking my dick in you, then what you do is partially my business.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If we're fucking, you want to go do whatever you want to do, fine. But you then have a responsibility to let me know if you're fucking other people, so I can decide whether or not I want to continue fucking you.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as a guy that likes a girl as a friend. If that guy friend has been a friend just to get into
No.
the position to be more.
Do you agree with that? What Spacko said? I feel most of blokes are like that, but I don't necessarily believe that every single bloke's like that.
Yeah, not the gay ones. You know, obviously. Oh shit. No, dude, don't get me wrong. I mean, there are certain guys that are friends, but I think that's because the woman has decided
I
nothing
think
is going to happen between them.
I think in some cases it starts off where they're just looking at them as like a friend, and they just like spending time with them, and then over time they start getting feelings, but that's not what they kind of wanted or wanted to happen. But then it starts happening, and they can't help how they feel. But I don't think that every single guy is like that.
No, probably not. Or at least not intentionally. I don't think not every dude
Yeah, I know,
operates
Spacko.
like
I
that
said
intentionally.
I know. I think most are SPAC, but I don't think all of them are. That's what I'm saying.
Unless they pretend to be gay and the girl tries to make it straight. They're Jesus. That's that is to go to that level is just creepy. That's just creepy to pretend to be gay. But then how do you explain it when you're getting a hard on? When she's getting naked? Like,
Thing is,
oh,
how desperate is that girl? If she's doing that to that person, it means she can't get any other guy.
or maybe she just wants to boost her self esteem. But I mean, come on, how many times have you heard guys say like, "Oh, I turned this gay woman straight"? No, you didn't. Shut up. You definitely. I know you want to believe that, but it's not true. It's not true. She's always gonna be gay somewhere in there. Maybe she's bi and she just feels like hanging on the dick side of the fence for a while. It's got nothing to do with you, dude.
So my advice, anyway, would be stay out of a relationship, have fun with your life until you're ready, and then dive into it. Don't do it too early.
Well, yeah, know that you wanna. You have to ask yourself if you want to be if you actually want to be a what kind of relationship do you want to have? Do you want it to be casual or do you want to be serious?
And SPAC, I think it's a very I know what you're saying, but I think it's a dangerous mindset to believe that you can't be a friend with a girl without it turning into more because you're kind of restricting yourself in terms of friends you can have that could be female friends because you think like that. And I think that's a bit dangerous.
See, I don't. There's no woman that I know. I'm actually trying to think now.
I don't personally have any girl, as in like friends that are girls, but I know that there are people out there that do. So I just think it's a bit dangerous to have that mindset of, I've got to be like having sex with them to consider them like, I can't just be friends with them basically because I don't think that's healthy.
There's definitely a couple of girls that I know that I would not fuck, but I mean, come on. There's a few that I would, but whether I will or whether I would or wouldn't really is not it's not the fucking deal here. First love was a 14-year-old. I was 15, so fuck off, and she was proper psycho. So is mine, dude. But that's the best kind. The other problem is figuring out if you have mental problems. I think one of the worst things for you to do is get with somebody else who has mental problems as
Mm,
well.
preach, preach.
It's a problem. It can
But
definitely make for a toxic environment. I
how old
know.
are you back? Sorry.
No, it's all right.
I just want to get like how old he is because it's like just to get a reference of where he's at in life, sort of thing.
Sure, it's a good idea.
A bit older than I thought you'd be. Yeah. What's schizotypal? What's that? I think I've
Think,
got AIDS, to be honest. I just ain't been diagnosed.
is it a schizo personality thing? ADD 25. Fuck, man.
Do you know I'm going to be 30 this October coming? Like, I'm feeling old.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to my parents earlier about because it's 2020 now. I was like, this is like when they talk in like some of the older films about like they put a date out like that and they're like, imagine in 2025, and I'm like, we're in that fucking age now where it's like space age.
It creeps up on you. The time before, dude, you're gonna blink your eyes, you're gonna be 36 years old and be like, what the fuck happened to the last 6 years of my life?
Do you know? I reckon if it's not going to be in our lifetime, I reckon like when my kids are my age and that, I reckon it's going to be more like fucking Futurama, like how it's set up on that show, like fucking flying cars, tubes. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be crazy.
I honestly, when I was a kid, I thought that's where we would be now.
Yeah.
You know, I
I
thought
think there's shit out there that they've invented that they just haven't brought out yet. Like they're keeping tabs on it, just waiting to like release shit. I think there's a lot of stuff out there.
well, I mean, and also in a way, we were presented future technology in such a way that I think we don't even realize how crazy the shit is that we have actually
Mm.
is. The fact that we're on a fucking computer screen when both of us are halfway opposite across the fucking world from each other. You know, we don't look at that as a crazy thing because we use it and interact with it every single day. But it is. So we might not have flying cars, but we have international communication anywhere. It's fucking nuts. And then self driving cars and shit is starting to be talked about more and more. But that's its own problem.
Do you think you would have liked to have been born in the past, like earlier than you was, or in the future if you had a choice?
Would I rather be born in the past or the
Like, yeah,
future?
like, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Like, because I personally feel I should have been born in the past.
Fuck. I would be curious as to what the future looks like. Although I don't, any time in the past, I don't think would be good for me because of the medical issues that I have and all that shit.
What
There,
about if you could, like, have a clean slate, though, where it weren't any, like, medical issues?
I think not too much further in the past. But I mean, damn, that's a good question. Wish I wasn't born at
Yeah.
all. Scrum nut.
All right. You staying on for a bit or not?
Well, I got this going up to an hour and a half, and I know I'm only limited to a certain amount of hours, so I probably should end this shit. I mean, we can always extend it out later on.
It's just I'm gonna go and have dinner. So
Okay.
um, yeah, just let me know, or I don't know. I might catch you later if you come back on anyway. But
Okay. That sounds good, dude.
all right,
If
I'll
I
see you
come
later,
back
guys.
on. Okay, so before I end this out, wait. Oh, I gotta figure out. There we go. Give me the 1920s, the way women dress. Give me a woody. Really? How the fuck did it? Have you checked out Lunar Sea? No, not yet. I haven't, but I should. I'm actually gonna look this up quickly. 1920s fashion. Let's take a look. But they smelled fucking horrific though, which is unfortunate. Not bad, not bad. I can see that. Jesus, a little rough there. I can see what you mean. Interesting. I never really put much thought into it. Some of it I could definitely see your point. Okay, and then the question for both of you guys, which I had to write this down or remember to ask it later, which is what do you think is worth a struggle? Honestly, trying to help to use my knowledge to try to help other people, I suppose, is worth the struggle of trying to be heard, which is kind of ironic in its own way. The other shit is, I mean, it depends on the day, honestly, because sometimes I don't feel like anything is worth struggling for, not even regular life. But you can't let that fucking you can't let that mind state control your brain. Sure, you can think it, but you can't allow that to be in all the time. But this, what I do now, the podcast, is it's worth struggling to try to make it. Although the only problem with it is the money aspect of it, because you have to put into it, even when you don't get anything out of it. As far as money is concerned, there's obviously plenty of shit that I get out of it, but that's not the point. It does worth it in a way because I get to share who I am in a way that I don't talk to a lot of people that are around me. I think most people that know me would probably be surprised at how I am really. I would imagine. I don't know. There's only a couple people that know me well, and even then, they can't really even figure out what I'm about. But I don't know, man. I wish I knew. Is it anything really worth struggling for? What is considered a struggle? You know? I mean, arguably, success is measured by happiness, I feel like. I mean, sure, there's a fake sense of, well, if you're not making money, you're not successful, but you could be a millionaire and be fucking miserable. So how is that successful? That's not that's not worth it, because that's got to be a struggle for somebody who's a multi-millionaire and has to drag themselves out of bed in the morning and not put a gun in their mouth because they can't stand what they do for a living. But they're fucking rich. They could buy anything that they want, but they just sell their soul for it. It's fucked up. I don't know, man. I'm gonna stop trying to name these things because I never stay on topic of what the fuck I came in to talk about. But either way, it doesn't matter. I'm limited to 28 hours, I think, of live stream time a month. And I know we're almost at 2 hours. We're an hour and 36 minutes. So, what I could do is I can always end this here and we can pick up a few hours from now. I'm probably gonna fucking lay down on the couch for a while because I feel like shit. But outside of that, and then I'll have to put a cap on it and it make these streams not so often. Unfortunately, I also have to do the calculation of the bills and figure out how much fucking money. Isn't it the drug though? The end result, accomplishment slash achievement. I guess you're right. Because if not for that rush to be able to say that you did it, then why even do it? Right? Because you want other people to know that you made it. That's what it is. For most people, I think anyway. Is it doesn't count unless everybody knows about it. Which is why a bunch of people want to be fucking celebrities, but they don't want the price tag that comes with the fame of trading in your entire life to become that, where you can't operate through a regular life anymore because everybody knows who you are. I just want the money, man. That's all. You can keep all of that other nonsense. I just want to be able to pay my bills and not have to fucking worry about, am I gonna have enough? Am I gonna have enough to do what I need to do to get what I need to get? Can I keep my refrigerator with some fucking food in it? Cabinets with some shit? Can I do that? That's really all that I'm trying to do. I don't need to be fucking filthy rich. I mean, sure, it's nice, but everything wears out after a while. Then you got friends around you who are not really your friends because of what you have and what you could do. When before they wouldn't spit on you to put you out if you were on fire. It's fucked up. But I guess you're right. Maybe that's what their struggle is. People look at the struggle as worth it once they get to that accomplishment or that achievement. And if they can't get there, then they just give up and they go on to something else. Kind of like the thrill of chasing a woman, I guess. Except once you get them, that's it. For most people, anyway. It's weird. We are a weird bunch of animals, human beings. Can't say that I pretend to get it. Can always be a mountain man, live off the land, go out with the grid, and live with Bigfoot. Yeah, I could. But that shit would get old. I'd be paranoid every day that there would be ticks on me. I'm too bougie now, too used to going to the store to get shit. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to worry about fighting a fucking animal for my food. And then making sure that I cook it properly. Can you imagine? I'm in the middle of the fucking woods trying to find a chicken. Fuck. Oh, that was funny. Fuck, man. Jesus, what a mess. That actually hurt my chest. Legit. That hurt. Fuck. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna shut the fuck up. I need to shake this one off. That was pretty deep. I'm sure you probably heard that. God damn. I'll probably be back around later. I'll announce it somewhere because, go to my fucking job. Or you'll get the notification if I go back live. Spacko, Demos, BC. Appreciate y'all coming through, man. It's been fun. All that bullshit. I'm gonna go die on my couch now.